Before I get into all that, I'd like to begin by telling you a little story. Now, it's possible that you've heard about this story, at least in part, but just in case you've been sleeping under a rock for the last couple of years, Amazon is dating. You might know that the company is currently located in Seattle, Washington. Well, for a couple of years, they've been spanning the country, looking for a second city or cities in which to locate a second headquarters, what they affectionately call HQ2. And so a little over 2 years ago, they put a call out, and the call basically went like this: make yourself lovable so we can love you. And if that sounds more like a script for an episode of The Bachelor, it's because in ways it hasn't been far off. Consider this. Initially, 238 cities lined up to woo Jeff Bezos. Not 2, not 3, not 8, 230. I can't even list 238 cities in the United States. And that list, in some ways, wouldn't surprise you because it included some of the bigger cities, call them the IT cities, Chicago, New York, Washington, Dallas. But 238, it's not all big cities, it's medium and small. And here's the incredible thing. Regardless of their size or resources or experiences working with an organization like Amazon, there's been almost this universal giddiness about the whole thing. And some of that is justified, I guess, because Amazon is promising a lot of great things, not the least of which is 50,000 new jobs. But it's more than that. It's almost as if these 238 cities have been looking around at each other thinking, what if I was chosen? Can you imagine the look on the other cities' faces? I mean, at times it truly has been more reality TV than reality. And just for fun, I want to give you a couple examples you might not have heard of. Tucson, Arizona, my hometown, by the way, of which I'm usually very proud, in their infinite wisdom decided that as part of their bid to bring Amazon to Tucson, they sent Amazon a 21-foot saguaro cactus to make themselves look hot. It didn't work. But smaller cities even went further. Stonecrest, Georgia. Anybody know Stonecrest, Georgia? Nope, me neither. Stonecrest, Georgia offered to de-annex part of its town to create a new town, which they proposed to call Amazon, Georgia. And all 238 of the cities who applied to be considered agreed, at least in principle, to massive tax breaks, huge infrastructure changes, and all the other minimums that Amazon said you had to have in order to be considered seriously. So this is the rub in all this. In order to get the goodies that Amazon was promising, the very first thing you had to do was average yourself. You had to meet the standards, huge standards, by the way. They required huge sacrifices and changes. You had to meet the Amazon standards that said, this is how we will look at you. These are the only under these circumstances, and by the way, this is our definition of what's valuable and worthwhile. But a little over a year ago, a bright ray of rationality and sunshine briefly broke through. Little Rock, Arkansas, who initially was part of this train of suitors, changed their minds. They took themselves out of the running even before the first cuts had been made, and they were actually up in the upper 25% according to Amazon. And they did it in the most conventional and unconventional of ways. They wrote Amazon a Dear John letter, or in this case, a Dear Jeff letter. It was a really hilarious move, not just because they did that, because they didn't just send a letter to Bezos. They took out a full-page ad in Jeff Bezos' own paper, the Washington Post. And they did a beautiful riff on the "it's not you, it's me" breakup strategy, including acknowledging that Amazon was pretty tough to break up with. They said, after all, you're smart, you're sexy, and frankly, incredibly rich. So it was funny, and yet it was brilliant, and it was insightful. It was a way to say publicly to Amazon, but also to other companies and other investors who might come their way, and even to themselves, hey, we're here too. Come check us out. Oh, and by the way, we know who we are, and we're willing to bet on that any day, even if it means losing you. And so Little Rock basically realized that to do otherwise, to do other than to bet on themselves would be a deeply wounding move, even with the likes of Amazon. It would be to throw away what they knew about themselves, what they knew made them unique, efficient, and attractive.